What?
How are you?
Average. But also like anxious about what am I like supposed to tell you today.
Fair enough.
See, we've been looking at this general picture of the entire course, and there's different parts of it that we have already covered. We have been looking at the visual mappings. We've been looking like really deeply into them. Remember all these dimensions, measures, and how you turn numbers into the visual pictures. So today we are jumping into a different part of the picture, and this is the raw data part, the data fetching. Yep. So here we need to go through. There's like different ways how we can get the data for our group projects or individual projects or everything else. We can collect the data manually. We can use like surveys. We can use measuring tools, like manual tools. We can use photography. Remember the Street project? That's when I was showing you toilets at different like levels of income in the world. So that is using photography as data. We can measure it with sensors. We can log it. We can do web scraping. We can download a spreadsheet. We can record it ourselves. Remember at the field study we were doing GPX tracks in the woods as we walked through the field study. So that was our way to collect different data ourselves. We can also access it programmatically through APIs, and that's what you're supposed to do in the projects with your little tiny Raspberry Pi computers thing. This is how the client usually describes their data, and this is how the data actually looks like. So it is it's a meme, but it's unfortunately the reality of what we have to deal with. And before we get to integrate all these data sources in our projects, before we even get to do that, we need to answer a really important question about the objectivity of data that we have. Is the data objective? Do you have thoughts about this one? Can you give me some of your thoughts? Data is science. Is it objective though?
I'd say probably not. I mean, bias exists. So
Some biases can exist in data, yeah? Do you have like idea? Yeah?
The collection methods, or like how the data was generated could be biased.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always going to be like a simplified view, like we're always going to be missing some aspect.
Oh, this is amazing, yeah, consideration. Yeah, just as like the previous thing that we've seen, this thing, it's not like the course, the whole course. It's a simplification of my course, and I just give you like a little model. That's how model is different from reality, yeah? Okay, yeah? Yeah, I think that's good. That's good. So we've seen that data is a human attempt for objectivity, but it is not always successful, and it's subject to all sorts of biases and shortcomings that it can have on the way. This is a picture of meta study of different. You see different lines here. These are like different studies of electrical resistivity of copper as you heat it up and change the temperature of it. And there's like the meta-study proposes the recommended line, which is like a bit in the middle. But look how different the lines are. There's like measurement errors, there's maybe different conditions that have been affecting these measurements, and maybe some of the papers here, they were a bit old, so the instruments have improved with time. And yet you see how it converges to some form of objective reality. But is the reality really objective? Or is it only our perception of the reality, and everything is just a trick that we see? And it's only our mind that is constructing what we see here? Or does it exist in the real world? I don't know. So these are all the questions that we are taking today. We have to do all these choices when we do data science. What to measure? We have to do sampling choices. If we're sampling people, then who do we sample? If over time, how often? How many data points do we need in our data set so that we can start doing statistical analysis on it and call it that statistically significant? Yeah. What signals do we retain, and what do we lose when analyzing the data? Do we remove the outliers? Maybe our outliers are the result of the measurement errors. But maybe our outliers in the data set are just weird people, and then if we remove them, we kind of like exclude them from the society, yeah? Because they're weird. What classification categories to use? What visual structures do we use? Yeah. What stories do we tell with our data? So there's all the choices along this pipeline. There's many choices that we need to make, and some of these choices have ethical implications in them. So this is a model of the course. Today I'm introducing you to a different model, and it's called AQAL, AQAL. It is constructed together by this philosopher called Ken Wilber, and it is based on the work of multiple researchers who have done the development studies before this guy. I have a video here, which I recommend you watch. There is a QR code that leads to that on the wall as well. It's a 30 minutes long video. It is fun to watch, but it's long. We won't watch it fully in class because we rather just hang out together and spend time together. But I show you first 2 minutes of that video so that you at least have the idea of the presentation style and what it is.
For that level, there are right and wrong ways of thinking.
Do you see it?
I like this YouTuber, yeah.
Yeah, he has the offensive YouTube name there. Yeah, I'm not even sure I'm allowed to bring that to the university as like am I going to get cancelled or not? I don't know.
So what the hell is this all about? This video is about levels of thinking. It is theoretical, which is fascinating, and it also has colorful jokes. I use this diagram a lot in my videos because it helps explain some of the wild things that people say and do. It's based on the work of several researchers. I'm trying to make it easier to read for a wider audience. This is my interpretation of a model of consciousness that I studied. It includes quadrants, levels, lines, states, and types. Today I'm talking about levels. I want to make a big, long video explaining each level in detail, but for now I'm just going to do this short version to get it out of the way and get the ball rolling. But before we get started, here are some misspelled vegetables because I'm told that it helps if I'm cute. Here's a cactus. So these levels are stages of psychological development. They have been studied by numerous researchers. Some of the most famous models come from Jean Piaget, here's a snapshot of his work, and Abraham Maslow, who had the hierarchy of needs. Everybody is born down here, and nearly everybody gets up to at least this stage by adulthood. There are many factors that determine how you will develop and when, including your surroundings, your choices, your culture, and the brain you were born with. These are the quadrants. They are different ways of looking at reality. In this case, this would be your mind, your brain, your culture, and your society. They all happen at the same time because the mind is the brain, and culture is a lot of minds, and society is what those minds do. I should also say that people are never really in a level. You just slowly develop the ability to think at higher levels as you gain experience, but we all use the lower levels every day. When you have to use the bathroom, for example, that's a level 1 process. It's not a complex style of thought, it's just a feeling or an urge. So some people make it up to higher stages, and some people never do. Most people on Earth spend most of their time in these 4 stages, and this one is only very common in modernized places. And it's the first stage where you can adopt a world-centered level of understanding, which means understanding how people think the way they do based on where they're from. Before that level, there are right and wrong ways of thinking, so you would either be doing it right or you're not, and then they would say you're either doing it right or you're not. After that, it's more like, well, maybe I would think that way if I was from there, or maybe I would be more like you if I lived your life. That's where global thinking begins. Speaking of global thinking, this is my first sponsored video.
Here we stop, yeah. How does this work? I have like a little instructions of how to use this chart. Yeah, first of all, we need to recognize it's a model. We just made it up, or Ken Wilber made it. It has limitations, as any model does. It's a simplification of reality. It's not the reality itself. You should be mindful of that and not use that as a gospel, so nothing is a gospel, except the actual gospel. You start at the bottom, you develop till where you stop. You're not at the level, as was mentioned in the video. It's very important to repeat that consideration. You use all levels all the time, the ones you have access to. And if you do the exercises and your surrounding is supportive of you and you develop the higher level of thinking, then you get slowly you get access to thinking in higher levels. but it's so hard. It's like the higher you go, the more energy you need to use with your brain, and your brain is like a super lazy machine, so it doesn't want to use higher energy. It wants to use lower calories to think. So it is demanding to go up the levels, yeah. But you should try. It's sometimes helpful to see the world from like different perspective and so on. Yeah. Societies, communities, nations follow these levels too. So, and then there's like a threshold that has been identified with 13-15% when a society goes up a level. So you don't need everybody in a level, over higher level, to get to be able to have democracy, for example. You need some proportion of your people to have the idea to establish the democratic institutions. Yeah, and then a more complex world require a higher level to get by. So in the modern world, you would be successful and you would get by if you are at least level 5, like the modern Western world, the United States, and so on. Yeah. So, and I hope you're there already, all of you, and then probably you have access to level 6, level 7 already. Yeah. Higher doesn't always mean better, but it's often better. So there's shortcomings that come with each level that are important to recognize. For example, level 6 is famous to turning people into hippies, and level 7 has a shortcoming that you see the world from so many different angles that you can't decide what to do, and you have the choice paralysis, and then you don't take any action because, well, Israel is correct and Palestine is correct. It's like, oh, well, we can't do anything now. Yeah, nuance. And one has different, higher doesn't mean being a good person. Like, you can be an asshole and be at a very high level of thinking. That is completely possible. You also have different sides of your life which are developing to different levels, yeah, in different sides of life. For example, you can have level 5 in your professional life. You can have level 4 in your dating relationships life. You can have level 7 in cognitive, the understanding. So cognitive kind of encompasses all of them and precedes all of them. However, understanding thing is very far from being able to apply it to different sides of your life. For example, you've studied something that you study all the time, I don't know, computer science or psychology, whatever. So when you study a subject for a long time, you know to recognize all the nuances there, and you have like a very you have rich, elaborate model of that part of reality, yeah. But then if you go to a different domain, then you have a very limited model of that reality, and then you don't recognize the nuances, and you think, oh, maybe you just understand it easy. It's easy to understand, and then what it turns out that you just have a limited knowledge of it. Yeah, so then there's like the two white lines here. There's this line here and this line here. So two white lines, they make the major distinctions between levels of consciousness. There is the first tier, the second tier, and the third tier. And I can say that the third tier, level 9, level of consciousness, I'm not even able to recognize it. Like, when I read the text here, it's like blah, 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 blah to me. I can't relate to it. I can't, I don't have cognitive capacity to see what's going on there. Yeah. The same partially goes for me in level 8. So level 8 is like, it's like so weird. Maybe I've touched that level on a few occasions, but it's like, tricky to recognize and tricky to even like understand that something is there. Yeah, but it is possible to train oneself to get access to higher levels, and there's like exercises. You can do like writing exercises, and there's some of them on the internet that are paid, and some of them are free. And then the best way is just sit there with your thoughts and like analyze how your thoughts come to be, and like try to get more meta, and then more meta, and then more meta from there. Yeah, let's go through levels one by one and see how they're different and what shortcomings do we have at each level.
I'm just curious, you said you couldn't like relate to level 9. So to be able to write about it, would someone like? Do you think?
Then someone, like I trust that someone would then be able to identify and recognize that it exists, and then maybe some people could identify even higher levels after level 9. I don't know. Like I've only encountered this model like half a year ago, and it did resolve some of the dead ends that I had in my thinking. But I was thinking about like level 6, kind of 7-ish, very stuck there. And I thought like, well, there's nothing more after that. And there's like the contradictions and nuances and the moral dilemmas will never get like past those. It's the end of thinking. It's like, it's everything there is. And also like at the lower levels, the first tier of consciousness, like 1 to 6, you think everyone else who doesn't agree with you is just stupid. And it's only when you break through this white line that you are able to like reconfigure your brain to see the world from other people's eyes. And that's like tricky, and it was also a revelation to me that different people have different moral values that come from different, differently configured brains and different backgrounds and so on. Like before I would think that, well, the other political side is like assholes, or like they're just evil people, or they're stupid or whatever, and some of them are, but then it's more, it's more tricky than that. Yeah, let's go through stages, and let's go through the first ones quickly so that we don't get stuck on them. The interesting ones are like 5, 6, and 7. Okay, level 1. It emerges in animals. This is my cat. And he or she craves snacks, and here she craves a boyfriend. And when she does that, she kind of like raises her ass like that, and like whoa, whoa. That's what she does. It emerges in animals, and every human child is born here as well at this level. So 0 to 2 years old, you be there. You do immediate actions based on your instincts. You are aware of things. You are aware that you exist. You see things directly, but other minds don't exist for you. You are the only conscious creature on the planet here. The problem is like no cooperation is possible, and other animals eat you easily. Yeah. So to fix that, you need collaboration with other animals. Let's go to level 2 to fix that. It emerges 50,000 years ago in some animals, including humans. Some animals tentatively have access to that level, although it's like they have limited understanding of it because it needs language and symbolic thinking. Like, some crows can like recognize faces, and like dolphins have language, and wolves can have like packs and tribes between them. So it is like some animals have rudimentary or like limited access to those ways of thinking. Other minds exist. This is what you get enlightened about here, and this leads to you believing that there's monsters under your bed, and there's like Santa is real and magic is real. The magic and mythical thinking enables collaboration, and it also results in the first proto-religions, such as animism. Animism is the belief that you live in a world saturated with consciousness entities, conscious entities all over the place. You have mountains that have consciousness, they have will on their own. You have the trees, you have the rivers that have their own spirits. Like everything has its own spirit. From there, you need better cooperation with other people, because this is just like a small tribe that is able to exist. So to be able to survive better, the animals go here. So this emerges 10,000 years ago with agriculture and settled lifestyle. This is when you can grow crops and you start having surplus. So this leads for you to start having specialization between different roles in your society. Like some of the people guard the crops, and some of the people count the grain, and then people start saying, I'm an individual, and others are individual too. So you're able to recognize the complex social web of relationships between yourself and other people to other people to other, and so on. Yeah. So like TV series, they use that level to engage your brain. That you think that other people have relationships between them, and you can untangle the complexity of those. A child would go through these thoughts between 4 and 9 years old, and here the strongest one wins, and it's very egocentric. So you only know about others for the benefit of yourself. So you learn to control people and manipulate them in your own service to get them do what you want them to do. Yeah. So this enables larger tribes with hierarchies, like and we have gangs and feudal empires, like early mythic feudal empires. Yeah. It is still present in like prison hierarchies, and these teenagers, they are mimicking the prison culture because it's cool. Yeah. Here we also have emergence of art and self-expression. The religion here is polytheism, so this is your Thor, the Zeus, and all the other gods there. The problem here, though, is that everybody fights. So if anyone played the Last of Us game on PlayStation, you have the world there where people are like fenced off from the hostile world, and they just shoot each other with whatever they can shoot each other with. That's the world we would have if we would still be in this level. We wouldn't have supermarkets and electricity if we would have this level. So next level fixes the constant fighting between the people. It fixes that by introducing the rules. So we all need to follow rules to belong. A child would go through these thoughts between 9 and 13 years old. It emerges 5,000 years ago. In Egypt and like early large empires, which are still based on agriculture. So it fixes fighting between the tribes, emergence of law and order in the empires, and it eventually leads to the construction of nation states. Nation states are our shared myths. This is something we have constructed so that we can live together in relative peace comparing to what was there before that. Yeah. It is enabled by monotheistic religions with one central god figure, and then everything else is just below the god, and the god gives power to the king, and the king gives power to his subordinates, and then such is the source of power, and this is how you know what is right or wrong. All the truth is written in one book, like a Bible, or like a codex of law. So there is one book, it's all the truth there, that's it. And you have thoughts like, what will others think of us? Yeah, maybe you recognize these thoughts. Or, you make me look bad. Yeah, so this is thinking in level 4 level, where your priority is to belong to the society. However, you do have problems there. This level enables organized slavery, genocide, witch trials, and nationalism, because you have collected your tribe together, you have now law and order, you have the rule there, and now you can go to war and enslave people to a different continent. Yeah? This is the cutting-edge technology of this 5,000 years ago, and on it goes until we get to science. Science is level 5. It emerges in 1500s in multiple places of the world. It's easier for us to think that it's like, let's consider Europe, because there's like invention of printing press, and there's like the photorealistic paintings that are possible to make at this level. Yeah, so here people would say things like, I think, therefore I am. Famous saying by Descartes. Magic is a trick. You don't believe in magic no more. Magic is a trick now. The children would go through this level 13 to 18 years, that age, and it is enabled by discovery of other cultures. See how the Spanish have discovered these islands here in the 1500s. and they see, oh, the other people, they have a different system, and then they have different rules, and it's kind of working for them too. Yeah. So what is right and what is wrong now we need to get the answer through science, and we do the experiment and the objective observation, and we use evidence. So here the religion is none. So people famously looked through the telescope up through the sky and say, well, sir, I've looked through my telescope to the other planets, and I've seen the other planets, and I found no God there. There's no God up in the sky. Yeah, so that enables you to construct more shared myths that are developed by people, such as the corporations, which leads to the Industrial Revolution and the vaccines, the soaps, the germ theory, and all sorts of good things. The order here will be a capitalist democracy. So now maybe you recognize yourselves, like where you are and the world around you. This is the most common like modus operandi of the Western world today. It fixes slavery. You may remember in the Declaration of Independence of the United States, it says, "We hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal." That's so interesting, right? Well, self-evident. Why? Why did you just like come to this realization in, what is it, like when was Declaration of Independence? You know better.
76.
Wasn't it evident before that? Before, like all of these, like human history, wasn't it then self-evident? If it's self-evident to you, why was it not self-evident previously that all men are created equal? And then it's just men, and it's only white men. Yeah, that needs to be said as well. There. So what do you have here is the. That's good though. So you have the corporations, you have the Industrial Revolution, you get the surplus of goods and services, so that you have better lives, and that's good. But then there's problems and shortcomings here because the capitalism only cares about growing the profits. So then that's like the destruction of the biosphere and the rampant capitalism. That's what we all recognize, yeah. And in the modern days, in the modern university, you even have all the criticism of capitalism that you're familiar with. All right, so it also opens the spiritual and moral void. Famously, God is dead, the expression by Nietzsche. It was a lament that now, without God, we don't have the moral idea of what is right or wrong, and how do we then reconstruct the morality now? We don't have it anymore. So that level opens up to the next one. And now you may be interested what's coming next. The next, like I mentioned, that's the hippie level. It is enabled first proposed or first discovered by French philosophers in 1800s to early 1900s. But it only really gained popularity in 1960s in the US with the, what's it called? Social rights movement or like human rights? No? Civil rights movement, that thing, yes. So that's when it really gained popularity there. It is enabled by the discoveries in physics, such as the role of the perceiver that is now important. So you know the double slit experiment, that's when you observe the particles, they behave differently. So they can behave like waves if you don't look at them, and they behave like particles when you do look at them. There is the Schrödinger's cat there, which is existing in two different states before you look at it. And here, this leads you to like the theory of relativity here as well. But this leads you to radical relativism, and you think that the world is different for all the people that look at the world, and it's all the time it's so different that there's like infinitely many interpretations of the world. Eventually, you would say that there is no reality at all, and everything is a construct. You've heard that before, and reality is a trick. This is what this level would tell you. You would get there at like 17 years old, yes, you would say things like everyone is unique, everyone is equal. So at that point, you would give the social, you would be actively working towards the social justice, such as giving rights to women and people of different races, and like gay marriages, and so on. Then you can go deep into a fractal of minorities, where you can have solidarity with Muslim, LGBTQ, like. Is that even a thing? How do you have both at the same time? I don't know, but probably you can do that. The ideas of a social order that are proposed in this level are socialism, libertarianism, and social democracies, such as the one we have in Sweden, or had before. Now we flipped to the right-wing government. So this is the social democracies, which would have high taxes, high social benefits, very high social support. You lose your job in Sweden and you get just money because you are not supposed to starve in such a highly civilized society like Sweden. But you would supposed to be looking for other jobs, and you would still keep the social benefit while you're looking for other jobs. And this is good when you're here. When everyone is here, this is working amazing. But when some people are here, this is like they would just have the advantage of the system, and they would be like, well, I get money, like why do I need even to look for other jobs? This is fine. Yeah, and you see how this very high level of development and very high empathy level is able to open up like the deconstruction of the society just by itself. Yeah. You would have remember you had the moral or the spiritual void from the previous level. This spiritual void is now filled with all sorts of charlatans like the crystals and shamans and tarot cards and astrology and whatnot. So that's that. So it's a good thing that this level strives to fix inequalities and the human rights. It's a bad thing that it has no discernment between truth and falsehood and the beauty and the ugly. Yeah. So everyone is beautiful, nothing is ugly. There's no truth, there's no objective truth. Everything is just like up in the air. Yeah. So noisy, jacket. Maybe it's beneficial if you sit like at the desk, because then you can lean at the desk and then you're like more stationary.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. What's more? Yeah, so that's the problem from it. No truth, no hierarchies. The cultures clashing between each other because we all get along, right? We should all just be friendly to each other. So that level would build a gay club and the Muslim mosque next to each other, and of course people will get fighting like what the hell. This level also disregards all the hierarchies, including the hierarchy of thinking that this high level is sitting upon at level 6. So if everyone needs to be like voices heard and every truth needs to be considered, then nothing is really like there. So it like self-deconstructs itself. That's the problem with this level. And this is where I was stuck up until I got to learn about this model. I was just like, that's it. That's the end of thinking. Yeah. Then it has all sorts of pitfalls and traps, especially when the messaging of level 6 is then used by people on level 3 to just get what they want and exploit the others in service of what they want. I have some examples here. You can look at them at home. I won't narrate them, otherwise I get cancelled. But you have the examples in the slides. Level 7. So it emerges in mid-1900s and so last century. The social order here would be something like direct digital democracy, which is only implemented in Switzerland, also to a limited degree, but it's only one country who has tried to do that. And they do quite succeed with their political system in that sense. Also the actual UN, not the powerless thing like we have at the moment. which is just purely symbolic, but actual UN with balls here. You would say things like the world is nuanced, and you would say things like reality is the actual magic. Yeah, you would get there by 30-year-olds, if ever. Like not everyone ever gets to develop these access to these kind of thoughts. Reality has a hard component in it, and then multiple actors are always at play. So this level welcomes the chaos of the actual world and the experience of living in it, and instead of like simplifying, it welcomes the complexity as well of the world. Everything in motion, always changing. You're able to have multiple contradictory thoughts together at this level. That's how you recognize that you're gaining access to it. You are aware of the brain biases and limitations. We made a book about that. This is the book on brain biases and limitations. You say things like, it is what it is. And if you know about the blue pill, red pill, black pill metaphor, then you take the white pill here at this level. So it fixes and rebuilds the hierarchies of truth, expertise, and beauty, although it does have its own shortcomings. You can get stuck in nuances. You can have the choice paralysis, non-action, and the perfectionism in this level. The religion, I tentatively point towards emergentism. And if you don't know what it is, it's like a link to Wikipedia, and look at it later, yeah, if you want. So it is enabled by chaos mathematics and the discoveries in the brain, cognitive studies of how the brain is biased in all sorts of ways, and gives us like all these different views of the world that are limited. Yeah, shortcomings there. I have a tweet here. Does anyone else feel so numb and nuance-filled that they can see almost any issue from almost any angle? Like I can see the current Dodge tech bro takeover as both a really cool thing but also a bad thing. Same goes for liking and distrusting Elon and many other things. A bit relevant, right, for this day and age, yeah? And there's the nuanced chill guy here with a more nuance. Yeah, that's it. At this point, we go to level 8, but I need to make a caveat that I don't have access to level 8, at least in a stable way or a comfortable way. I do think I got some glimpses to level 8 previously, but I'm not even sure that's it. Yeah. So this slide is filled with question marks everywhere, and I'm not even sure if it's there or if it's like the high level 7 that I have here. So it is emerging now. It's the global order, or like the world order would be something like global AI-powered government here. The agreement would be achieved through tools like Sociology 3.0, although not sure again, many question marks. The physics here, this level should be enabled by the discoveries in physics, like the unified theory that unifies quantum mechanics, general relativity, and Newtonian physics. However, it didn't happen yet. We don't have a unified theory in physics yet. It integrates the contradictions gracefully. That's like an accent word. I should make like an accent there. Yes, gracefully. This is what it does. It finds the third win. This is what it's supposed to achieve. A third win, you know what it is? Yeah, right? No, yeah. Like I do a work for my client, and I get money for my work, so I win. And my client gets the product, so my client wins. However, I also need to find some kind of a third side that should win as well. And the third side should be a society or an ecosystem or something else. So some third side should win from the actions that you do. Yeah, the decisions here are modeled and optimized towards elegance, as in like you can do decisions that are based on what needs to happen, on what you must do, on what is right. And sometimes these decisions, they are ugly and they involve saying no, and they involve offending people or fighting back the invading army or whatever. But here you're supposed to find the solutions that are elegant. Yeah. Mind here actively scaffolds and constructs itself to higher and higher levels, so you actively take participation in building your own mind. And it fixes the choice paralysis of level 7 through the elegance of solutions, supposedly. Problems, I don't know, we'll find out. And religion, if you know the game, then you know the AI goddess from the game, which is this one. Anyone knows? What the hell? You don't play games no more. It's a game on PlayStation. You should try it. It's amazing.
What's it called?
Horizon.
Oh.
There's two of those. There's Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. Also, tentatively, I note technopaganism, which is a religion that is possible to have here. This is like a little angel here. It's from a painting done by a modern artist. This little angel is like building a loading circle for you to see the memes that are hiding on the other side. Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is the framework. How do we apply it now? Let's learn applying it. I start with identifying what data is. So what is data? Data, let's take a journey through like roots of the word, where it's come from. It's coming from religious ceremonies. And data means, it's in the singular form, it is datum, so a thing given in Latin. So in the ceremonies, this would be like gifts from the god, the things that are given to us. And this is like the attitude or the origins of the world, of the word. I have this picture of a god here, although not very Christian god. So from there, the definition goes to like data science, yeah? And then you would have data as things given in your problem in mathematics. Then you're supposed to find things that are unknown, and you're supposed to use things that are given. That's data, yeah. You also have like, in many languages, you have cases like nominative, accusative, you have dative. So dative is given, like that's the giving vibes that are happening there. You use words like data bank, data analysis, data visualization. So those are, you see how it emerged from level 4 thinking, now it migrated to level 5 thinking, the definition. And here in the objective world of science and observations, you would use numbers as the data, yes, but also words, photos, colors, sounds, movements. Any information that can be systematically collected, organized, analyzed can be data. Remember I showed you Dollar Street pictures, like different homes and like different toilets on different income levels in the world. So that's like using photography as data. It's this idea here. And then the definition doesn't stay in the same place, right? It moves, it always evolves. So now, as the world evolves into level 6, the problematic level 1, that enables the culture wars and everything, although it is better to have a culture war than the actual war. So problems at higher levels are better to have than problems at lower levels, okay? That's the idea of this thing. So now at level 6, we say that the formal credential, the professional title, academic degree, size of data, complexity of your math, and other tools should not stop you of doing data science. Whoever you are, you can do it. Yeah, break the barriers. And here we have like social data, data privacy, data ethics considerations, data humanism as proposed by 2 prominent artists that I know. And also this is logo for data vandals in New York City. Apparently there's the artistic initiative in New York City which says, mission statement, our society looks at the world through data, but data doesn't have to live in dusty database. It can come alive on city streets and in galleries, museums and parks. The data vandals present data in exciting new ways, stopping people in their tracks and inviting them to learn more. So they do something like spray painting data tables in like New York subway. So that's data vandalism for you, a different approach to data. Also, it's evidently level 6, as you could see. Right, the central question of this lecture is maybe we can use data to take ourselves ourselves and the society up the levels. Yeah, let's try to do that. How do we do that? Level 8, is it even possible? I don't know. I don't have like cognitive access to that level. I'm not like so smart, so I don't know. But level 7, yes, it is for sure possible, and it's worth making happen. I will share in this lecture some of the tricks how data science can take us, bless you, to level 7. Although most of the work today is done at level 5 in data science, some here at level 6 and some here at level 4. Which brings me to considering some of the examples. I have an example for some of these, yeah? The first one, biometric car seat. Let's use your butt signature and like sensors to identify you in your car. Why? We can do theft protection with it. We can also do like different settings adjustments in a car, like geometry for different humans, users who are using the car. Is that a good idea? And which level it is, like which level of thinking it comes from? Tell me. I'll drink some tea, please tell me.
I think the intention is a good idea, but I think there's probably a much better way to go about it. Also easier. Like we already have like fingerprint detection. Like I think that would be a lot easier than like trying to get a butt signature. I couldn't tell you what level that is. So.
Kind of wasteful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's could be used, but it's also like these are like some of the things that capitalism does to you. It throws like these kind of crazy ideas and seeing what sticks, yeah, and maybe what gets purchases and what gets what it can sell through marketing. Yeah, so this is level 5. Next example, let's use a predictive policing. So we use machine learning and crime data to predict new crimes. This will give us the insight about where and when to patrol and how many patrol cars do we need for different districts. And we can enforce also corporate security, so we can also sell that to corporations. Is that a good idea? And also which level it is?
This is also level 5. This is very binary deal, good and bad. And it's like AI machine learning data is all very biased, so this can reinforce existing biases.
Yeah. So the process is maybe level 5, but the thinking is level 4, I would argue. It's not just was it binary thinking. It's a binary thinking of what is like orderly and not orderly, and this is like reinforcing the order on the people. And the problem here is that the neighborhoods that have historically had higher crime, they would get more policed, and that would lead to a higher crime in the future, and that's like the problem of black neighborhood over policing. Yeah. Which level? It is level 4. Yeah, enforcing the order onto the other people. Okay, next example. I have this thing that hits a bit closer to home then. Face pay in metro. So let's use facial recognition to let you on the metro. Why would we do that? We can, it's easy to use, yeah, you don't need a card to get on metro. And we can improve security because we also now know at all times what people are on the metro, on the subway. Is that a good idea? Well, some tentative head shaking. Like you're doing the no shaking, not the yes shaking, yeah?
I feel like it's a mixture of like sort of level 4 and 6 because it is like on the one hand like serving each individuals and serving for like the convenience of the riding experience in the metro because you don't have to do anything out there.
Yeah.
Not even like getting up, taking out the card. But at the same time, like, it's also serving for the like national level of like motivation to always watch people and increase their control.
Yeah. Has anyone lived in China? Has anyone lived in North Korea? No? Has anyone lived in Russia? No? Yeah, privacy fears as Moscow Metro rolls out facial recognition pay system. So it is an invasion of privacy in a way, and it can have all sorts of other implications. This is not an idea, this is an actual system that is in place. Yeah? I have the next slide here. Dozens arrested in Moscow via facial recognition system on Russia Day. Moscow police have detained dozens of journalists and activists after they were identified using facial recognition system on the city's metro. So you see the date, it's June of 2022. That's the war in Ukraine already going for almost half a year, and Russians have all these oppressive laws against protesting. Yeah. So they would go on protests when the war had just started, and then the government implemented all these laws that would imprison people and send them to like torture chambers for protesting the war. That's why Russians are not protesting. So this happened, and the level of thinking here is, well, clearly level 4, and maybe some of it is level 3. Which is like the dominate and get what you want kind of level and enforce the order. Although the convenience is maybe like level 5, yeah, on the like not having to take out the card when you want to go on the metro. So this is why data science needs ethics. Yeah. So living in data is a different experience, and for many people, living in data kind of sucks. Like for these journalists that were detained by the police. Data is a form of power that is unevenly distributed, and here the data here is in this sentence is used as a verb. So the strong would data the weak. I data you, you data me, we all data together. It's like who datas who, yeah? Who datas who is usually well, governments, but also like corporations. Yeah, the corporations can use data on you. They can data you to make you buy things and click ads and all sorts of things. The best minds of our generation work on that. So you have like phenomenal like redlining and gerrymandering, which are data-based practices. You have government surveillance. So the data science today is predominantly white, male, and techno-heroic. That's the achiever level. And then by forming and transforming this field, we would create the future we want, hopefully. And hopefully this future can be better. And it has a strong ethical component of what even is better and how can we identify better.
What is techno-heroic?
It's like Dodge, you know, Department of Government Efficiency. That's an example of techno-heroic. Yeah, I come into a system which I have no idea about, and I fix it with AI and algorithms and whatever I have instruments. Yeah, there is a paradox of exposure there, as an example. Minoritized people want to stay invisible to avoid prosecution sometimes. So we often don't even collect the data, and we cannot know if the phenomenon exists. Like, how many gay people are there in Saudi Arabia? We don't know. Maybe same percentage as everywhere else, but maybe less, but maybe, I don't know. Because being gay is punished by death penalty in Saudi Arabia, so don't be gay if you're there. Now we actually get to the lecture, and this was the long introduction into the lecture. I thought it would be just cool and interesting to share these levels of thinking with you, which were quite curious for me when I found about them.
Watch the next part in a separate video.